What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the main synth from Tycho's song called A Walk, and it sounds a little bit like this. And here's what I was able to come up with. This automation clip here is just adjusting the cutoff frequency of a low-pass filter. Nothing too fancy. Just really quickly, I know that Synth Hacker already made a tutorial about this a few months ago using Massive, but the main reason I'm making this is because I'm essentially doing the poor man's alternative. All the synth that I'm using and the mixer plugins that I'm using are all freeware. The synth that we're going to be using to make this sound is called Audio Helix. And it looks like this. If you just Google search Audio Helix, or I'll put a link in the description, you can download the demo version for free, which is what I've done. You can see a trial version. 75 bucks will get you a license. The only difference in functionality is that every now and then with the demo version, you will get a bunch of noise and it'll randomize some notes. But if you just bounce your audio, if you're going to export songs, you can essentially bypass that problem completely. So I've gone ahead and loaded up default instance of Audio Helix, and I have it sent to this mixer insert right here. Nothing yet, and it sounds like this with nothing else. So you're going to want to go to leads in the ambient voltage category, and we're going to be using a preset. It's called BTPM Whiner. Oh, and I should probably show you that I've loaded up the MIDI from the Tycho song already. So actually, just by using that preset, we're about 50% of the way there, and it sounds like this without having changed anything. Pretty close besides a really irritating collide. So what we're going to do is turn off keyboard mode, and we're going to make sure that the polyphony is on poly. Next, we're going to go over to the envelope section, and we're going to just change a few things for the decay and the sustain. We're going to turn the level down to about midway there. Keep the attack where it's at. This is going to adjust your pluckiness. So this is really up to you. I have it at about between like 2 and 3 o'clock. That sounds pretty nice there. And I have the sustain up at about 1 o'clock. The release can be brought down a little bit. Bring this down as well, and now you have a nice pluck. So that's it for the envelope section. Should note that a lot of the sound comes from the post-processing, the delay, the reverb, bit crushing, and the wow and flutter. But in order to add to that sort of ambient soundscape, you can use the internal effects as well. So what I've gone ahead and done is change the time of the left delay to 1/4 note, and the right to an 1/8 note. Right there. Yeah, not dotted. There we go. Bring the mix up a little bit. Also bring the mix up on the reverb. And we're going to go down to the limiter section and increase the gain a bit. And for the EQ peaking, turn on high peaking. Bring the frequency down a bit. And do we want to adjust the Q? Yeah, bring the Q down a bit. And just increase the amplitude ever so slightly. Yeah, those are the random notes I was talking about because the demo version. You will notice that it is clipping a bit, but that's good because it's not actually clipping within FLC, it's clipping within the synth unit itself. And we can take some of that saturated high frequency and make it sound really nice with the reverb. So let's go ahead and do that. That's about it for the synth. The first thing you're going to want to add is a fruity delay 2. Bring the cutoff frequency down a bit, turn the volume of the feedback down, keep everything in the input section where it's at. Just kidding. No, we want to move that down. The dry is good. Maybe just increase it a little bit. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, that sounds nice. You can bring the master volume down a bit so it stops clipping so much. Alright, that sounds nice. Next, we're going to want to have our filter. And it's going to be a low pass filter, so turn high pass down all the way, resonance down all the way. And this you can automate as you like. As you can see in the actual playback here, I have, or the track view, I have this automated, but the sweet spot is generally going to be between this and this. You don't want it to go up too much or else the bit crushed frequencies are going to sound really abrasive. So let's keep that here for now. And next we're going to want to add a bit crusher. I'm using D-Blue Crusher, which is also some freeware. I'll put a link in the description. And this is going to be pretty subtle as well. So bring the mix down to about 20%. Bit depth can stay where it's at. 11 samples is, I think that's going to be fine. And also the overall dry wet. Oh, why is that up? Okay. That should be 100% all the way for the filter. That was my mistake. For the crusher, bring the overall dry wet down a bit. Let's see how that sounds. Bring the mix down just a tad. That should be good for now. Next, we're going to add some side chaining with gross beat, just because on the downbeat it seems like it's a little bit quieter than those higher register notes, but we don't want it to be too noticeable. So it's at 140 BPM now, but it is halftime at so 70. Bring both of these up to -3 decibels. Change the slope like that. And now we have a little bit of side chaining. Alright, so that's it for gross beat. Next we're going to need to add some reverb. You can really use whatever mixer plugin you want. Fruity Reverb 2 is good. I've been using something called Reverberate LE, which is also freeware for a while. I'll add a link in the description for that. But for this particular sound, I'm going to use something by TC Works called Native Reverb Plus. And whatever plugin you want to use, you generally want to go for something that's really big in size and also very bright sounding. So I'm going to go ahead and load up the Large Room Bright preset, bring down the low factor so there's less bass, increase the treble, diffuse in about the middle, and bring the mix up to 50, and I wouldn't bring it past there because there's already some reverb on it. You don't want it to drown out the original synth too much. And lastly, you're going to want to add something called Wow and Flutter. This is by interrupter.ch. I'll put a link in the description for this as well. This is really useful for any type of chillwave analog track. It adds that classic like tape simulation feel, or like if it's being played on an old vinyl or something. But we're going to adjust a few things because the way it sounds right now is a bit wild. So bring the level of the wow down to about 9 o'clock. Increase the rate to around 1.5, 1.49. Yeah, that's fine. No mid. Bring the level of the flutter down to about 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit less. And increase the rate of that to about 30, 32, 31 is fine. If you're familiar with boards of Canada, you probably have heard this type of effect before. And lastly, you're going to want to EQ everything. Let's take out the low frequencies with a high pass, and then boost the highs a bit. Nothing too drastic. There's those random notes again. So if you don't like the sound of the bit crusher, what you can do is change the position of the crusher and the filter. and that will sound a little bit more clean, but you will get a kind of a darker sound. The reason I had it the way it was is because it sounds closer to the Tycho track. But this sounds a little bit more sonically pleasing, so it's really up to you. So let's go ahead and automate that cutoff frequency and get rid of our old sound. And we'll see how it fares against the Tycho song. So again, this is our original. And this is what we have made. And that's about it. So if you found this video useful, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know if you'd like to see more sound design tutorials in the future. This is my first video in a really long time, my first FL Studio video, but if there's a need for people that want to see types of sounds like this, then I will definitely be happy to make more content in the future. Subscribe for that reason, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot.